Hey there, it's Lara here again with your weekly Witchy Wednesday astrology video. This time for the week of May 2nd to 9th, 2018. So as always, thank you for being here. Thanks for subscribing and commenting and sharing. I really do appreciate it, and I really appreciate the dialogue that goes on sometimes. If you have a question, don't hesitate to ask because your question could help somebody else too. And I like interacting with people in that way. It helps me to know that what I'm doing here is meaningful and helping you. So I'm happy to say that this week we get a bit of a reprieve from the insanity that's been going on, but don't get too comfortable. I'll sort of go into that as I go through what's happening in terms of the astrology and the general energy for the week. Of course, if you want to get a personal reading with me, then just click on the link below and head over to my website and you can check out what's on offer there. Um, I Right now things are so busy that it's taking me a little longer than usual to get readings to people, but not too bad. So and that should I should catch up fairly quickly. I'm just, moving through the last week and a half or so of a major commitment that's been taking up lots of my time, and then I'll get back on track. So please reach out, and if you have any questions about readings, then please let me know. Okay, so this is one of those weeks where, as I said, we get a short reprieve from any major events in terms of the astrology. Just realized I never turned my little light on over here, and I could use all the help I can get right now. So, sorry for the shaky camera for a second. Anyway, so you no doubt, if you've been following along here, have heard me talking about how intense things have been, and of course you've felt it, I'm sure, on some level, if not in your own life. If you happen to be one of the few fortunate people who have been kind of sailing through this, maybe you've got some really sort of easy flowing aspects going on in your own chart, or just been navigating things really well, then at very least, you're seeing this play out on the world stage, right? So, and we just came off this pretty intense full moon in Scorpio, and this Mars Pluto conjunction, and I talk about those things and how they impact us in last week's video. So if you're curious about that, I won't talk too much about it here, but you can go back and listen to last week's video for more info on that. But suffice it to say, April was a ride of epic proportions for most of us. And the pace of life in general has really picked up for most people, and I'm sure you can feel that on some level, in whatever area of your life, right? I There's been a lot of energy, as I've repeated frequently, in Capricorn this year, and there will continue to be. And so it can be really helpful to you to know where Capricorn is in your chart. What house does that fall in for you? I've used the personal example in past videos where I have Capricorn moving through the fifth house of my chart. And I am feeling it in a big way in that area, right? Lots of action and, sort of responsibility and hard work and obstacles, frustrations, that kind of thing in the area that the fifth house rules. So things like creative output, creative pursuits, um, children, anything involving children, even sort of romantic partnerships, and love given kind of thing. That is, and the pleasures in life, really. So that's the fifth house, right? And so I've got all this kind of, adulting kind of energy moving through there. And I've been feeling it. I've talked about this commitment, this play that the kids and I signed on for. That's ended up being a far, far bigger, more onerous undertaking than I ever imagined. And although it has its rewards and its pleasure points and all of that, it's been really, really tough. And you might notice how tired I look. And it's kind of funny because one of the things I play in this production is an old lady on the verge of death. I actually die on stage at one point. And it's a smaller role in the play, and then I'm in some other, the ensemble numbers and things like that. But I was joking the other day saying that I don't really need stage makeup because I'm kind of, living it right now. That's how I feel. Anyway, so that just shows you how it's playing out, right? Personally for me. And so where you find Capricorn in your own chart is probably an area you've been feeling under pressure a lot over the course of the year. And, if we put in the work, the idea is that with hard work, eventually comes the rewards, but we have to be patient about it, right? And so all this Capricorn energy, right? Talked about it a lot, and well, you'll continue to hear me mention it because it's happening this year. That's a major factor. And coming off this full moon in Scorpio, right? So, and I'll talk a little bit more about the moon and what's happening with the moon moving forward through this week and over the weekend. More Capricorn. But I just want to mention that yesterday, May 1st, was Beltane. So, the pagan or witches' holiday of Beltane, which marks. There's also May Day, right? Different places call it different things or celebrate it slightly different ways on different days. But Beltane marks the midpoint between spring and summer. So it's kind of, it's that official like death to winter kind of thing, right? Where we've finally seen the last of winter. And that's happened just very recently here where I live. And so this is marking, it's a celebration largely of the divine feminine and the coming back into balance, like the union of the divine masculine and divine feminine, right? And so it's like we're starting to feel more optimistic and getting a little more, it's kind of a time of enjoying the material pleasures or pleasures of the flesh. Think about it. We're in Taurus season right now, so enjoying a little bit of indulgence, right? Some partying and good times and good food and all of that kind of thing. It's often marked by bonfires and just a good a good old fashioned party and enjoying. It's a time of really romance as well. And intimacy. And so we're getting back to nature right now and celebrating that. And also, I just want to say, like I mentioned, it is really a celebration of the divine feminine. And if you look at what's going on in the world right now, and if you've been paying attention, and you may be feeling this even in your own life and in your own person, the divine feminine has really had it. Basically, it's really had it. And so there is an uprising going on and will continue go on moving forward, in an effort to bring the masculine and feminine back into balance. And I've spoken about this in past videos, months ago, but it is an ongoing theme. It will continue to be. We will continue to see the issues of women brought to the forefront, and the injustices, and the taking back of power, and the restoring of balance. And I know, even on a personal level, I know a lot of women that are just, they're done. They're done with the way society is structured, with the patriarchal constructs, that kind of thing. And so, it's a time of sort of waking the witches, right? Um, there's a woman named Lisa Lister who wrote a book called Witch. I have it back here on my shelf. You probably can't see it from where you are, and she talks a lot about this. It's a really great book. There's another great book by a woman named Danielle Dulski called Woman Most Wild. And these are sort of the, the children of Clarissa Pinkola Estes' Women Who Run with the Wolves, if you've ever heard of that sort of classic, right? Anyway, so keep your eyes on that, and see how that's playing out globally for us, and how that's feeling for you in your own life, right? Chiron has moved into Aries. I have 2 whole videos about that, and talk about how this is really a time of healing our individuality, and our right to exist, and that kind of thing. And this plays into this healing of the divine feminine as well, even though Aries is a masculine sign, but it's that sign of the warrior, and sort of, owning our power, that kind of thing. So right now we have the moon in Sagittarius, and it's going to be moving into Capricorn over the weekend, right? And I've said to you many times, the moon moves quite quickly. Every 2.5 days it changes signs. And we can feel this on an emotional level, largely because the moon rules our emotions, right? And our sense of security, kind of, and our how we protect ourselves in a way. So, like that nurturing, that kind of thing. It represents, the mother as well, the moon. So the moon is moving into Capricorn on the weekend, and it will be conjuncting or meeting up with all that planetary energy that's in Capricorn right now, right? Pluto, which is retrograde, Mars, which is there, and Saturn, which is also retrograde there. And so the moon will meet all of those heavy hitters, and so the weekend can feel maybe a little bit like a little bit more like work, on some level, or emotionally sobering, a sense of having some, having to adult kind of thing, and be perhaps more responsible, and really look at, really kind of maybe have to do some things and fulfill some commitments, and that kind of thing, that maybe, we'd rather not, but needs to happen. So that's what's happening with the moon. And once the moon has moved through Capricorn, then I have my notes over here, right? If you've never watched before, you see me looking this way, I have some notes over here written. So that's what I'm doing. But it will enter Aquarius on Sunday, and then stay there for a couple of days. So, but over the weekend, along with these conjunctions to Saturn, Mars, and Pluto, though, there are some other things. So there's a sextile to Neptune and Jupiter, and a trine to the Sun. So sextiles and trines are easier flowing conversations between planets, and so that will give us a little bit of relief, and just kind of encouraging us to be compassionate with ourselves, through this, what can be a bit of an emotionally, as I said, emotionally sobering time, or difficult sort of time of feeling like there's a lot of responsibility. We're all doing our best, and it's important to remember that. Um, so what else do I want to say? There's a couple of bigger things I want to say, but just, Mercury is in Aries right now. Mercury is the planet of our communications. Put very simply, ideas, thoughts, intellect, that kind of thing. And it's in Aries, and it's been there since March. I can't remember what, but it's there for another week or so. And I can't remember exactly when it moves out right now, but you know, so this can make us sort of courageous in our ideas and even in our communications, but it can also make us a little bit, aggressive or overly assertive in our communications. So it's good to strike a balance there, right? And it may make us a bit impulsive as well, and so we just have to be mindful of that. Um, Having said that, though, it doesn't mean you shouldn't speak up and out for yourself. Um, it's just all in how you do it, right? So, um, really, what I want to say to you that this week it's a time to not necessarily take any major sweeping action towards something new, but you may be kind of sensing that change is afoot, or even planning for that, or even revisiting. And it's a perfect time for this, with Saturn retrograde in Capricorn, but revisiting sort of where you're going to commit moving forward, time and energy, what's really important. Because the bottom line is, we can't have it all, do it all, or be it all, right? It's just, that's not the way it is, and so we have to make some choices, and that's not always fun, and it's not always easy. So we really have to consider what it is that's important to us, what it is we value, where we want to put our resources and our time. And that's a perfect segue into discussing the fact that Uranus, the planet Uranus, is about to shift signs. It's been in Aries for 7 years, and it's about to shift into Taurus for the next 7 years in the middle of May, sometime around about the 15th. This is going to bring major change. Uranus is the planet of shock, and it's like the change bringer, the change maker. Um, Surprises, sudden insights, aha moments, revelations, scientific breakthroughs. Um, elect- it's the planet, of electricity, um, and just, shakeups in general. It comes along to shake things up where they are stagnating, and shake things up to, it's sort of, it's like sometimes we need chaos to bring about a new order, so to speak. And so, because things have sort of just been status quo for too long, and it's no longer working. So Uranus comes along and goes, okay, time for some change, whether you like it or not. And we're gonna shake things up, right? And so a proactive thing to do is to look at where change needs to happen for you, and kind of plan for that yourself, all the while knowing that you know your plans may not play out exactly as you imagine, right? Because Uranus has a way of bringing us sort of twists and turns and curveballs. And so it's important to be flexible around this time. Now, this isn't happening until like the next Witchy Wednesday. I'll address this more, but I am actually, I've said this before, I'm working on a video specifically about this transit, like I did the ones for Chiron. I was hoping to have it out by now, but unfortunately, so much time has been spent on this play. I have rehearsed for, and the kids too, because they're in the play with me. In the last 4 days alone, over 30 hours have been spent, and this has been going on for weeks. So I'm sure the people, my husband and my family and friends will be glad to see it over too, because they're probably tired of hearing about it, and maybe you are too. But the point is Uranus. I'm gonna release this video as soon as I can get it recorded. And I'll talk a little bit about this transition more in Witchy Wednesday, but it's coming, and so it's good to be aware and prepared, not to be afraid. It's not about being afraid of what's going to happen. Forewarned is forearmed, as they say, and having an awareness. Even if something surprising happens, you can go, oh, okay, right, that's what she was talking about, right? So how now am I going to handle this? And it's all about how we respond, as I always say. But, so just very simply here, Uranus moving into Taurus is going to bring about some major upheaval and changes specifically to our economic system, our money system, what we value, where we spend and how we spend and utilize and deal with our resources personally and globally. And just think about Taurian qualities, right? Taurus is an earth sign. It's a fixed earth sign, which means it can be quite stubborn, but steadfast. There's all this energy in Capricorn, so it sort of points the way to there being shakeups in the status quo, right? And our traditional structures and that kind of thing. And Taurus deals largely with our resources, our money, our self-worth, our what we value, our the world of the five senses as well, the material world. And so that's the area where change will really be noticeable. And so, that's just a little bit about it for you for now. And again, as I mentioned to you with Capricorn, it's really good to know on a personal level, where does Taurus fall in your chart? What house does it fall in? Because that will mark the area where you will likely experience the energy of Uranus and these changes the most, right? And so it will be interesting to see what happens for people. I have Taurus in my 9th and 10th house a little bit, and so it's an interesting area of the chart. And I'm really sort of curious to see what's going to happen for me personally. So if you ever get a reading with me, as I mentioned, in all these videos, I send you a copy of the chart, which I forgot to show you. I'm going to show it to you before we sign off here. A copy of your birth chart. And I do a little Astrology 101 lesson off the top so that you are able to kind of put things in context and you can kind of see where things fall in your own chart. And then when you're watching any videos that I do or anybody else does, or you're learning on your own, it can be helpful to you. And so before I sign off, I'll just show you the chart. I like to show you the chart every week. It could look like total gibberish to you, but as you look more, you will start to piece things together and understand more, right? And so let's just point out, here's the sun still in Taurus. And we've got, Chiron just moved into Aries. We've got Mercury in Aries, Uranus at the 29th degree of Aries, about to move into Taurus. Whoops. And we have got, there's the moon, the moon in Sagittarius, going to move into Capricorn, right? So those are just some things to point out to you. So basically, take this week to get your bearings a little bit. It may not be, the week that you can just sit back and chillax and not worry about anything, but it should feel like you can at least breathe a little more than you have been able to over the past, over the month of April. And so take the opportunity to do that. And, just know that you're doing your best, and that's all that can be expected of us. All right, so take care, everybody. Look for that video on Uranus moving into Taurus very soon. I may even get a chance to record it this afternoon. I'm not too sure, but hopefully at least by the end of the weekend. Okay, take care. Thanks so much. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Bye-bye.